When it comes to bending, waterbending is known as the most fluid and graceful. As water is the element of change, a waterbender must literally go with the flow and move with whatever outside forces come their way. From the real-life cultural influences to those sweet bending moves, today we're going to dive into the Watertribes. I'm Kris Carr, here to give you the skinny on all things waterbending. Before we jump right in, I'd like to give a shout out to our patrons on Patreon. For the cost of a cup of coffee a day, you can help Whitney and I stay employed. If you can pitch in, head to our Patreon and see which tier works for you. In return, we'll give you behind-the-scenes info, shout-outs, and more. Not flush with cash? That is totally fine. You can help us by liking, subscribing, and hitting that bell. Now, back to waterbending.
It's not magic, it's waterbending. And it's...
Yeah, an ancient art unique to our culture, blah, blah, blah.
Today I'm giving you a crash course in waterbenders. So if I miss anything, or there's stuff you want me to go more in depth on, hit me up in the comment section.
Did you see what he just did?
Now that was some waterbending.
Waterbenders possess the hydrokinetic ability to control water in all of its forms. This elemental bending art is used by the people of the Watertribe, who are divided into 3 groups: the Southern, the Northern, and the Foggy Swamp tribes.
Hey, you guys are waterbenders.
You too? That means we're kin.
Similar to actual Inuit tribes, the Watertribes are pretty secluded from the rest of the world. The Northern and Southern tribes are depicted wearing furs and skins and have weapons and tools made from bone. Much like real-life Inuit culture, men appear to be in charge of hunting, while women are in charge of the home. We see this with Sokka and his father acting as warriors, while Katara was working as a sort of midwife with her grandmother. That being said, Inuit women hunted, fished, and men took part in preparing meals and sewing.
All done with your pants, and look what a great job I did.
Wait, I was just kidding. I can't wear these, Katara, please.
We see that the Southerners live in igloos, again, typical of the Inuit people. The architecture of the Northern Watertribe, however, appears to have been heavily influenced by Venice. There's gondolas and canal systems running throughout their city. The Watertribes appear to borrow from other indigenous cultures as well, such as Aboriginal Australians, Native Americans, and Pacific Islanders. Specifically, we see this with their use of war paint and Sokka's boomerang. We also see Polynesian influences in the Watertribe's catamarans. Now, I've always figured I'd be a waterbender, and I'm definitely a foggy swamp waterbender. I refer to myself as a swamp person in pretty much every outtake I've done here. Thanks, Southern dialect! You make the internet so mad at me.
What'd you say that for?
Well, we are.
But you don't have to tell them that.
Well, how'd I know they'd understand me?
Come on!
Now, as for those foggy swamp folks, we obviously don't have as much information on them. They're in like 2 episodes after all. We know that they're the descendants of the Southern Watertribe and migrated to the foggy swamp of the Earth Kingdom, and that over time, they developed their own style of bending. Based on their mannerisms and dialect, many feel the people of the Mississippi Delta, aka the most southern place on Earth, inspired this tribe. The Delta is known for frequent flooding and rich soil, and we can see the series was inspired by that given the shallow waters and plant life of the foggy swamp. Like many indigenous cultures, the Southern Watertribe also has a ceremonial rite of passage for their youth. This ceremonial test is known as ice dodging. Think of it like a bar mitzvah, only you're a little older and you're way more likely to die. When a tribe member reaches the age of 14, their father takes them out on a boat, where the teen is challenged to navigate their ship safely through iceberg-filled water. Their dad is just there to observe and is not supposed to interfere. If the kid succeeds, they receive a mark on their forehead in cuttlefish paint that will symbolize what they best demonstrated: wisdom, bravery, or trust. If you're an outsider to the tribe, participating in this test could earn you honorary membership to the Southern tribe.
Farang, the mark of the trusted. You are now an honorary member of the Watertribe.
In the series, Sokka performed the ceremony with a friend of his father, Beto, since his father was off fighting the Fire Nation. Sokka completes the test with the help of Katara and Aang. Sokka, taking on the role of leader, earns the mark of the wise, Aang the mark of the trusted, and Katara the mark of the brave. In the Northern Watertribe, girls become of age at 16 and enter arranged marriages. The groom-to-be gifts their fiancé with a traditional betrothal necklace. This is the necklace Katara received from her mother prior to her death.
I carved this necklace for your grandmother when we got engaged. I thought we would have a long, happy life together. I loved her.
This necklace signifies that the woman is to be married, just like an engagement ring. We of course see this reflected in the arranged marriage of Princess Yue of the Northern Watertribe. It appears that in the Southern tribe, though, people choose their own spouses.
So who's the lucky boy?
Huh?
Your betrothal necklace. You're getting married, right?
No.
The comparisons don't just stop at attire and cultural norms and rituals. Avatar also is influenced by Inuit mythology. For waterbenders, the moon plays a big part in their abilities. The Watertribes are the only benders who didn't learn bending from an animal. During the era of Rava, the time before the Avatar, the power of water was first gifted by the water lion turtle, who would give it to those venturing into the spirit world to protect them on their journey. Once the lion turtle renounced being protectors of mankind, they no longer gifted people with this power.
I call upon the great spirits. Spirit of the ocean, spirit of the moon, be with us.
Descendants living on top of the water lion turtle eventually taught themselves how to waterbend by observing how the moon pushed and pulled the tides of the ocean, hence their strong connection to the moon.
Our strength comes from the spirit of the moon. Our life comes from the spirit of the ocean. They work together to keep balance.
In the series, moon and ocean spirits took the form of koi fish in the mortal world.
I need to find the moon and the ocean.
Their spirit names are Twi and La. Push and pull.
These spirits are based on Inuit mythology, specifically these gods, and I'm gonna butcher the names, guys, I'm so sorry. Igluk, god of the moon, and Aglulek, god of the sea.
So is this the way to the spirit world?
No, you'll have to get there on your own. But I can take you to the most spiritual place in the entire North Pole.
These koi fish are kept in the Spirit Oasis, a cove behind the Northern Watertribe's chief's palace. This oasis is said to be the most spiritual place in all of the North Pole, and is unusually warm with trees and a waterfall. Now, let's talk about our foggy swamp friends. We learned that tribe member Hu claims to have gained enlightenment while sitting beneath the Great Banyan Grove tree, a tree at the center of the swamp. This is incredibly similar to how Buddha gained enlightenment while sitting beneath the Bodhi tree.
Spread, then sink and take root, and then spread some more. One big living organism, just like the entire world.
This tree is also at the center of Hu's theory that all living things interact with their inorganic surroundings to form a synergistic, self-regulating system. Everything is connected and works as one living organism, like that other avatar. This essentially is the Gaia hypothesis, an actual theory that Earth is a, quote, self-regulating, complex system involving the biosphere, the atmosphere, the hydrosphere, and the pedosphere tightly coupled as an evolving system. They definitely had to Google pedosphere. It's the outermost layer of Earth, not like a radius of bad touches and sex criminals. Law and Order, pedosphere. Dun dun. Now, let's move on to the moves.
You must have already mastered waterbending.
I wouldn't say mastered, but check this out.
Waterbending is based on Tai Chi, which literally translates to incredible energy. These benders move fluidly, adapt to their surroundings, and need to be as smooth as water itself. We see this in Tai Chi as well. This form of martial arts is often referred to as an internal style, which is to say that it emphasizes relaxation and precision over outward aggression. Martial artists must be able to change accordingly to outside forces and not meet aggression head-on. Tai Chi focuses on control and energy, and the practitioner creates circles to pass by attacking energy and issues their own outward. Waterbending itself isn't just limited to water. These benders can wield ice as well, be it by using vapor in the air to use an icy breath a la Superman, ice claws like we see Hama use against Katara, or ice spears. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There are tons of various attacks, both icy and otherwise, that we see our benders utilize. Waterbenders are also capable of manipulating steam. It can be used to freeze things or to create a fog-like cover. Hi.
This'll work, thanks.
You also maybe have spotted old folks kick it in your local park doing Tai Chi. That's because Tai Chi also serves as therapy for the purpose of health and longevity. In Avatar, waterbenders can heal by using water as a sort of catalyst for manipulating chi paths in the body. We see this when Katara sensed the energy locked within Aang's chakra during a healing session. That said, healing cannot undo a blockage to a bender's chi, nor can it treat scars, fatal injuries, or blindness. Healing can be amplified by the water the bender uses. Water from that spirit oasis I mentioned has extra special properties that can heal wounds otherwise unaffected by regular water. We see this used when Aang sustains those crazy battle wounds from Azula. The foggy swamp bending style differs from the northern and southern styles, appearing more rigid. But hey, that could have been a stylistic choice since these benders have been working with stagnant swamp water. And when when it comes to pro-bender waterbending, as we see in Legend of Korra, that takes on more of an MMA style. And it makes sense because of the competitive nature.
Oh, and a blatant hold by the Avatar! Unnecessary roughness!
Of course, there's another aspect to bending from Avatar: The Last Airbender we have not discussed.
Blood bending. Controlling the water in another body.
Bloodbending. Unlike the smooth, flowing motions typical of waterbending, bloodbending seems to require a more rigid form of movement, almost like a puppeteer controlling a marionette. This subset of waterbending requires an extremely powerful bender, and it's known to be the most powerful and most feared of all bending techniques. Basically, the bender is able to take hold of and manipulate the fluids within an organism's body. I mean, it's pretty much in the name, guys. It's bloodbending.
You should have learned the technique before you turned against me.
This technique was created by a bender named Hama while she was detained in a Fire Nation prison. The complexity, power, and depravity needed to perform bloodbending means that this type of bending typically only works during a full moon, when a waterbender's power is at its highest. Of course, all the creepy stuff happens when the full moon's out. Those myths are shared between countless belief structures and cultures throughout time. It only stands to reason that a show based so thoroughly in mythology would want to tap into humanity's deep-seated fear of the dark and have some fun with it. And who can blame them? There's never a reason not to scare the hell out of your Rugrats than introduce them to horror and terror within a children's show. So, from fighting to healing to screwing with people's veins, waterbending can do a heck of a lot.
Water is the element of change. The people of the Watertribe are capable of adapting to many things.
What waterbending info did I miss? Anything you'd want a full video devoted to? I didn't want to get too spoilery, but we can definitely get into some cool water-related bending we discover in Season 1 of Legend of Korra. Let me know in the comments. And let me know what you want to talk about as I cover the other Avatar nations. Thanks again to our patrons, and thank you for watching. See you, Space Cowboy.